Avinash, thanks so much for coming to the studio. Look forward to talking with you.
Of course, I look forward to the conversation as well.
So tell me about yourself. What year are you in high school? What are your interests?
All right, so my name is Avinash Verma, and I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm currently a senior. So looking forward to graduate in about a few months. A few of my interests, I really like to watch movies. I'm a big avid fan of movies. Yeah, movie buff. And a few of my interests are, of course, policies, local politics. I really like to be involved with my community. That's something I really try to build into my life and make an effort to be more involved with my community.
Excellent.
And overall, and I also really love to cook. I love to cook in my free times, try out new recipes. So yeah.
Well, if the policy, government, changing the world thing doesn't work out for you, you can always do a meal and a movie.
Oh, of course, yes. A meal and a movie totally works.
That sounds like it. There are a lot of policies out there.
Yes.
Education, environment, health, criminal justice, infrastructure. What are you motivated on?
Something that I'm really passionate about is youth engagement. There are not a lot of policies that exist when it comes to involving youth in policies, in politics, in local government, in state government, in federal government. There are not a lot of initiatives. There are like set in stone steps taken towards involving youth more and more into politics. A lot of youth, a lot of people that I speak to, my friends, my colleagues, they think politics as a taboo. That's something that in their mind is like, oh, the system is broken. I don't want to be involved in it. It's too complicated for me to understand. So I think like making efforts towards getting that notion out of people is really important, and youth engagement, more information, more experience out there will really help our community grow stronger together, and also focus more on policies and politics, which actually will change the world. And another topic that I'm also really passionate about is, of course, infrastructure. So just infrastructure when it comes to roads, when it comes to schools, when it comes to the resources we have at schools, the resources we have as a community is also really important for me, because I truly believe that having a lot of resources and the opportunities are out there, and really looking for the resources that will connect you to the opportunities is really important to me.
Now, you sit on NLC's Council on Youth, Education, and Families.
That's correct.
What are you focused on there? What's the work like there?
There are 4 youth that are appointed on the Youth Education and Families Council here at NLC every term, and I have served 2 terms on it. I was re-elected last year to be a part of the council again. So our work is mainly to amplify youth voice at NLC. So so we have about 165 youth delegates at the conference at CCC right now. We technically cannot have all of them be part of NLC board and represent our voices. So the 4 of us represent their voices on the issues that we want the YEF board to prioritize and the issues that are important to us. The YEF Council is really a great opportunity for all of us to amplify our voices. And since the name of the council is Youth Education and Families,
yes.
Really having the youth perspective on issues and what we want, on the changes that we want to see, is really important to NLC, and I think that's great. So just being a part of it for 2 years, so our work is basically providing data, providing statistics on the issues that we discuss here through NLC conferences for the youth delegates, what issues we think are important, what projects that youth councils from all across the country are working on, and what change we want to see. So really bringing that voice out to NLC, and then NLC will take our word forward and create policies, work on it further. So that's really kind of my role at YEF.
So as you amplify your voice, as you try to push your words forward, you're in those meetings with adults.
Correct.
What are the adults missing? What do they not understand?
Adults are really missing the connect, right? So the connect that we have with our community is totally different than what the adults have. What we face in our day-to-day lives is very different than what the adults face. We have to take a school bus to go to school. We have to interact with our teachers. We have to interact with our resources that we have. what is the technology like? Do we have access to laptops? Do we have access to broadband connection? It's all that connect that we have with our community is totally different than the connect that adults have in their day-to-day lives. So I think really bringing that perspective to the council on what is important to us is what really matters.
What is the real world learning movement?
Real world learning. So the real world learning movement is to really incorporate real world learning into schools. So we did a workshop, part of the youth delegation program, last city summit, which was focused on real world learning, and we partnered with the Kauffman Foundation that is based off in Kansas. The real world learning initiative is basically to integrate real world learning part of school curriculums, part of school district curriculums. So for a few hours of the school, they're part of, let's say they're part of the youth engagement track. So the youth engagement track, you'll take a few classes on youth engagement, your first year, freshman year maybe, and in your sophomore, junior year, you'll actually go out in the real world to work in civic engagement. So the Kauffman Foundation has this whole system set up in Olathe, Kansas, where we really took inspiration from. So their school district has the real world learning platform integrated into their school district. So they have different tracks such as youth engagement, engineering, STEM, civic leadership. So all these tracks really help students to get their career path decided, as well as move forward with it and gain real world experience at the same time. So for example, the civic leadership track will work at the city office the 3 hours that they're supposed to be at school. So they're getting their real world learning experience. We have a similar system at my school back in Austin, Texas. It is not a district-wide thing, but our automotive program has really implemented the real world learning program. So I have been part of the program for 4 years. And for the first 3 years, we are in the classroom, in the shop that we have on school, working on cars, learning all the ins and outs, and really diagnosis as well as repair. And then my senior year, which currently I go out to Austin Infinity dealership and work at their maintenance facility. So just having that experience, to me, the real world learning, that's the whole essence of it, that me going and working out in an automotive industry and learning how they do things differently than what I learned back in school, how they do work orders, how they work on cars, what are the different techniques that they use that I didn't learn about, that just gets me ready for the industry. So it's really the essence of real world learning and getting that experience.
That's a key part of education, isn't it?
Of course, and that is what is missing in our community, right? Just everybody, like I meet so many people who are like, oh, I still haven't decided my career path, I still don't know what I want to do. And really these programs will really help them narrow down or dislike a career path that they were thinking about, right? So this will really help youth and young adults to really understand the career that they're going into and gain the real world experience.
Rockets or airplanes?
Airplanes.
Airplanes.
Airplanes for sure.
I was reading your background. I saw a little bit of NASA, but I also saw Austin Airport.
Oh yes.
Airplanes over rockets.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm also a big av geek. I like to look at planes. What are the different airlines out there? Do a lot of research on that as well. But yeah, I have worked with NASA also on. So the best part is I did not work on rockets when I was in NASA. I worked on airplanes while I was in NASA.
Oh, so that's
I was part of their aviation department internship.
I see. Okay. Well, that's the part that I missed. And lastly, what's next for you?
So, like when I joined Austin Youth Council 4 years ago as a freshman, really policies and municipal leadership and politics was not in my mind at all. I was just looking for an opportunity to be part of my community more, to be more engaged, and I joined this program, and I ended up really liking it. So I really do see a future in politics and in policy making, but currently my focus is to get a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So I have always had that passion for cars in mind. So even my mom tells me, like till today, like oh, he had his path set when he was 5 years old. He always wanted to do something in the automotive industry. So that's why I chose my high school to go to, and I'm part of the automotive program over there. So I want a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and specialize in automotive design, get a master's, work in the field a little bit, but eventually maybe make my transition into policies and politics and bring that engineering background in mind. And yeah.
And at that point, that's when you become Secretary of Transportation.
Oh, we just saw the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, like a few hours ago. Sure, I did not think about that.
Okay, well, we'll let him know. Leave a resume and we'll let him know.
Sounds good.
Avinash, thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by the
Of
studio.
course, no problem.